The next two versions of Genshin Impact could be very difficult for anyone trying to save Primogems. Because version 7.1 already has two new characters to watch, and the current rerun predictions could bring back some extremely popular characters. And then version 7.2 could make things even worse for your savings. We're potentially looking at Vesna and Vionitsa in 7.1, possible reruns involving Skirk and Escoffier, and then Midia and Valerie arriving in 7.2 alongside several major rerun possibilities. So today, we're going through the current 7.1 to 7.2 roadmap, what is actually being discussed, which characters stand out, and most importantly, how should you plan your Primogems? Just keep in mind that this is based on current information and predictions. Banner placements can still change before Hoyoverse officially announces them. Let's start with version 7.1. Version 7.1 is currently shaping up to be a pretty important update. The two new characters we're looking at are Vesna and Vionitsa. And we've already talked about Vesna quite a bit because the latest V2 calculations give us a much better idea of what she could actually look like in teams. The current numbers make Vesna look like a very promising damage dealer. And what's especially interesting is that she doesn't appear to need her signature weapon just to perform well. The current weapon comparisons put her free 7.1 event weapon at the baseline, while her signature is noticeably higher. But the difference isn't so massive that I'd personally tell everyone to spend their Primogems on the weapon banner. So if you're interested in Vesna, C0 would be the starting point I'd recommend looking at. Get the character first, then decide whether you actually need anything beyond that. Because the reruns around 7.1 could completely change how you want to spend your Primogems. And this is where things get interesting. Skirk is currently being discussed as a possible rerun for version 7.1. Now, why are people paying so much attention to this? One major reason is the current endgame information being associated with 7.1. The current information points toward a strong cryo-focused environment, which naturally makes people look toward characters like Skirk. And if the final version keeps a similar focus, a Skirk rerun would make a lot of sense from a gameplay perspective. But there's an important distinction here. A cryo-focused endgame does not automatically confirm that Skirk is rerunning. It simply makes the possibility more interesting. And that's how I'd look at it. If you've been waiting for Skirk, this is definitely something worth watching. But I wouldn't spend your Primogems based on the assumption that her banner is guaranteed until we get an official announcement. Skirk isn't the only name being discussed for 7.1. Escoffier is also being mentioned as a possible rerun. And this is another reason why 7.1 could become a difficult patch for players who are trying to save.
Because you could potentially have
Vesna, Vionitsa, Skirk, and Escoffier. That's a lot of competition for the same Primogem stash. And realistically, most players aren't going to be able to pull everyone. So instead of asking, which character is strongest? The better question is, which character actually gives my account something I need? If you already have enough DPS characters, maybe a support makes more sense. If you're missing a strong DPS, Vesna could be more attractive. And if you've been waiting specifically for Skirk, you may want to save for her instead of pulling simply because a new character is available. That's why I wouldn't recommend making your decision based only on hype. Now, let's talk about Vionitsa, because her situation is a little different. The current V2 calculations don't make her look terrible, but they also don't make me think she's an automatic must-pull. One of the interesting comparisons is Vesna teams using Vionitsa versus teams using Sucrose. The Vionitsa version is currently calculated at around 165,000 team damage, while the Sucrose version is around 163,000 under those particular assumptions. That's only around a 2,000 difference in that calculation. And there's a bigger point here. The Vionitsa team requires more investment. So even though Vionitsa is bringing useful utility and has an interesting connection to the current Stellar Swirl teams, the numbers don't currently make her look like an obvious pull for everyone. Personally, I think this is one of those characters where waiting for more information is completely reasonable. If her value improves during further adjustments, the situation could change. But based on the current numbers, I wouldn't tell every player, you need Vionitsa. You don't. Now, let's move to version 7.2. And honestly, this is where things could get painful for Primogem savers. The current information points toward Mitya as a new 5-star Electro character, with Valerie also being mentioned as a new Electro support. So, we're potentially getting another new character lineup immediately after 7.1. But then we have the reruns. The current possibilities being discussed include Nicole,
Sandrone,
Mavuka, and Varka. And this is where I think 7.2 could become one of those patches where everyone suddenly realizes, I should have saved more. Because these aren't exactly characters that people are going to casually ignore. Let's go through the names individually. First, Nicole. The current prediction is interesting because she hasn't appeared for quite some time, which naturally makes players expect a return eventually. Then there's Mavuka. As an Archon, she's obviously going to have a lot of attention whenever a rerun is possible. Then we have Sandrone. She's another character that a lot of players are watching closely, especially now that we're moving deeper into Snezhnaya. And finally, Varka. So even without knowing which of these characters actually returns, the potential lineup is already enough to make 7.2 worth watching. And personally, I wouldn't treat any one of these reruns as guaranteed yet. There's simply too much time for the banner order to change. So let's actually make this useful. If you're interested in Vesna, the current information gives you a pretty good reason to consider her. Her damage potential looks promising, and the current weapon calculations suggest that you don't have to immediately spend another huge amount on her signature weapon. So for a low spender or F2P player, I'd personally look at Vesna's C0 free event weapon save. That's a much safer plan than immediately going for constellations and weapons. Now, if you're waiting for Skirk, things become more complicated. You should keep enough Primogems available in case her rerun actually happens. Don't spend everything in 7.1 assuming you'll somehow recover the wishes later. And if you're interested in Mavuka, Sandrone, Varka, Nicole, or the new 7.2 characters, saving becomes even more important. Because you don't want to spend your entire stash in 7.1 and then immediately regret it when your most wanted character appears in 7.2. So, if I had to make my own priority list based on the current information, Vesna would be one of my biggest priorities for 7.1. Not because she's automatically the strongest character in the game, but because her current numbers look promising and she doesn't seem to require an enormous amount of investment to function. For Vionitsa, I'd wait. I like her concept, and I think her utility could become valuable. But the current numbers aren't convincing enough for me to say that everyone should pull her. For Skirk, I'd also wait for the banner to become more certain. If you've wanted Skirk for a long time, though, I'd definitely start saving rather than assuming you'll have another easy opportunity immediately. And once we reach 7.2, that's where I'd be very careful, because there's simply too many characters that could compete for your wishes. So here's the simple version. If Vesna is your priority, go for Vesna, preferably starting at C0, and don't feel forced to get her signature. If you're waiting for Skirk, save and keep enough wishes available for her potential rerun. If you're interested in Vionitsa, wait for more information before committing your Primogems. If you're waiting for 7.2 characters, saving through 7.1 could be the smartest move. And if you don't actually need anyone, just save. You don't have to pull every version. Sometimes the best banner strategy is simply having enough Primogems when your favorite character finally appears. So that's the current picture from version 7.1 through version 7.2. Vesna and Vionitsa are currently the characters to watch for 7.1. Skirk and Escoffier are among the names being discussed for possible reruns. Then 7.2 could bring Mitya and Valerie, alongside possible reruns such as Nicole, Mavuka, Sandrone, and Varka. But remember, none of these unofficial banner predictions should be treated as final. The important thing isn't trying to perfectly predict Hoyover's banner schedule. It's making sure your Primogems are ready for the characters you actually want. Personally, I'm most interested in seeing where Vesna ends up once everything is finalized. And I'm definitely keeping an eye on the potential Skirk rerun. But if the 7.2 possibilities become reality, saving might be the hardest part. So now I want to know, which character are you saving your Primogems for? Vesna? Skirk? Mavuka? Sandrone? Varka? Or are you completely skipping 7.1 and saving for later? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the roadmap, subscribe for more Genshin updates, Snezhnaya news, character analysis, and banner predictions. I'll see you in the next one.